I really want to go back to the beginning and ask you about how it all started and when you first became conscious that art was going to be part of your life. And how did you find painting?
I remember a nice story when we always used to go to Lebanon with my mother. So we used to go, we used to travel from Damascus to Lebanon in a taxi. So I remember the day that I really realized that the cloud has a shadow on the mountain. And I wanted to follow this cloud. And I asked my mother, I really wanted to catch this cloud. I was 4. And so she asked the taxi driver, please go to the cloud. And so the taxi driver thought that maybe this lady is crazy. And I remember this incident till now. And I think this incident formed my personality in a way. Since then, I was really interested in shadows, lights, colors.
In chasing that cloud, did it sort of make you fearless in your life in a way that you always felt that you could do whatever you wanted to do?
It gives me the very important thing that I believe in my ability, I believe in myself. And I think this is very important in every person's life. It's not only important for an artist, it's really important. It's the most important thing.
What drives you to paint?
It's part of me. It's something really part of me. Maybe loving the shapes, loving the colors, loving the air, the light, the people, the figure, the eyes, the expressions. It's all there.
And what about beginning a picture? How do you start?
I try to empty my head because I think the main source of creativity comes from the subconscious mind. And I think when you empty your head and when you forget everything you know about anything, you will you will discover something in your personality and also maybe in the life.
So how do you empty your head and how do you reach that subconscious?
I think it's if you want to describe it, I think it's a kind of meditation maybe, where you don't think about anything and you just wait for the thing to appear in front of your eyes.
I've noticed in a number of your paintings there's often a ghostly image, a sort of blurred representation, sort of ectoplasmic figures that have a sense of spirituality. But are you at all religious? Is there anything that you're trying to convey through those images?
I'm not religious at all, and I think this is very physical. It seems very spiritual for the viewer, but it's really physical because you have 2 eyes, and each eye can see separately. If you try to really achieve this, to be able to see separately, it's something amazing, and that's what I am trying to do. I'm very sensual, so I have to feel everything. I'm not spiritual at all, but I understand spirituality in another way.
Van Gogh's doctor, Dr. Gachet, said that his art was his faith. Is your art, is your painting really what you believe in more than anything else?
I think it's more than this, because faith, you can lose faith and you can die because of faith. But for me, it's like, it's food, it's oxygen. It's something I cannot live without.
And you told me once before that you think in images, not in words, but that those images don't necessarily relate to what you end up painting.
Sometimes, or most of the times, when I want to think about any fact, I don't think in words. I just see pictures and I calculate these pictures and I reach a knowledge, or I reach, let's say, a conclusion about this fact.
We can see from the work downstairs that you have no difficulty in getting a likeness in your figurative work. That facility comes really easily to you, and I wonder whether that makes it easier or harder for you.
Okay, it's easy because you understand the shapes, you understand the colors, you understand the lines, and so you'll be able to capture this likeness. I have this contrast in my work and also in my personality, I think. Sometimes I enjoy capture the likeness of the people, especially if I'm interested in the person or in his personality or in his shapes or in his colors. He has to have something interested in his face. But in the same time, I enjoy creating people and doing something out of nothing.
Anselm Kiefer famously said that for a piece of work to be good, it needed to have a lot of struggle in it. But I don't sense that you struggle. It feels, I mean, having watched you work, and you can work at great speed as well, there's an ease to the way. I mean, do you believe that it has to be a struggle to make it good?
The word struggle for me, it has to be struggle. It has to relate it to death or losing something or war or whatever. For me, it's a passion, so there's no struggle with passion.
I mean, you work in a figurative style. You were never tempted, despite your facility with the figurative, to go down the abstraction or the conceptual route. And you work a lot with portraiture, which, you know, some people will say is relegated lower down in the hierarchy. Has that ever frustrated you?
I don't think so, because I always love to do the things that people they are not doing. So for me, it's an advantage. It is something, as you say, unfashionable. So for me, become fashionable because I don't want to do what everybody else is doing.
I mean, how do you feel about portrait commissions in themselves? Because a lot of artists don't enjoy them. They stay well away from them.
I've done in the past many portrait commissions. The people who I painted, they added something to my work, because I think each person in this whole universe is a new discovery, is a whole universe in his own way. And I really appreciate this, and that's why I used to really enjoy doing this commissioning portraits.
I mean, let's talk about scale a little bit, because none of these are small. They're all on a really big scale. How does that come about? Why always so large?
I love to work on a big scale because I think for me I feel more free in working on the big scales, and also everything big has a double impact on anything, and I just enjoy it.
And what about the green colour? Because you told me before that the green is a colour that only really emerged in your work when you came to the UK.
I don't know why. I moved here 3 years ago, and this is a very green country for me. I come from Damascus, and it's a very dusty city. It's a very grey city, which I really love, and it's a very smelly city, which I really love also. But this is green, and it's different, and I also enjoy it a lot.
Tell us a little bit about your artistic heroes, because I know that you looked a lot at Rembrandt, didn't you?
So Rembrandt is very interesting because he really added a lot of new technique to the art history, I think. And at least I was really fascinated by his technique. I used to read about him, I used to read about his technique, and I used to really imitate exactly the same technique. And I love it, the glazing, the thick layers.
Do you think it's important for young artists to copy old masters?
I think it's normal, it's very logical to study the classical painting before become a contemporary painter. For me, I think this is important because it gives me a lot.
And you were also fascinated by the Impressionists, and I remember you mentioned Georges Latour as well. He was amazing with light.
I really love his work because, as you said, the light and the different shades of lights also, and the expression of the faces that he used to paint. It has a mystery behind it, and I really enjoyed this.
How important was your art school education for you in the development of your work?
It wasn't good as an art school at all, and I used to have many concern about it. But I've teach myself many things, and it was very interesting because, as I told you, because it's a stage of your life where you decided to learn art, and when you decided to learn things, you will learn it anyway.
What about finding your style?
I haven't think about finding my own style. I always used to think that each person is different than other.
I think it's a struggle for many I think it's hard for many artists because they're trying to stand out from everyone else.
Yeah, but if they don't try to stand out, they will stand out.
I mean, are you conscious of how your style might have changed over the years, or do you think you've stayed pretty true to the way it was?
I can see many changes in my style, but I didn't intend to make this change. It just happens normally.
When you make your work, do you feel that you have a sense of purpose, something that you want it to achieve? Do you want people to love it aesthetically? Do you want it to shock them?
I really want my work to touch the subconscious mind of any viewer. That's what I really wanted to. I don't think it's easy, but I want my work to do for the viewer the same thing that music does for me. So when I've listened to a piece of music that I really love, it touched me, it touched my subconscious mind. It revealed many imagination in me, and it revealed questions and whatever. And I want my work to do the same for the viewer. That's what I hope.
I also think there's something a bit surreal about your work. This picture here with a strange ostrich in it, isn't it?
Yeah.
I can't say. Oh no, the flamingo.
I'm really interested in my dreams, and every day I have a new dream, and very strange dream that I make my husband bored about talking to him. Listen to me while he's making his coffee. Okay, another dream. So it's very interesting to me, and it's very inspiring at the same time.
And also humour. I do think humour comes through in your work. It's almost like you're laughing at yourself some of the time.
Yeah, humor is a big part of our life, and it's the commentator of what everything happening around us. It's really important.
I think a lot of the work that you make also has a really strong sense of decay in it, and I think that's partly from the colours that you use, the intense colours. But where did that come from, do you think?
I love to see the layers of everything around me. You can see the liver of a cow in this painting, and with this work I collaborated with a butcher while I was in Lebanon. And she's a very interesting lady. She's a very tiny lady. She's maybe like my size or maybe smaller than me, but her hands are very strong and big like a man. And I agree with her to witness the slaughtering of the cow. This is something I love to do because it's part of the life.
You know, thinking about decay, this is also about the passage of time. You know, the ages of woman. And I'm just, what are you trying to express here by having these ages of women? You know,
understanding time is very interesting to me. It becomes more interesting in this project because I've met many women who has experienced trafficking in this country, and I was really fascinated about the way how they perceive time. The past for them is sometimes present, because they always used to have flashback because they are traumatized women. And this idea is interesting to me. It makes me think about each one of us receive time differently. And that's why I decided to work on different ages of the woman.
I've got this fascination with, I think it's in this one,
Yeah.
with liquid and the presence of liquid in your work. You see it often.
Yeah, liquid is it has a life by its own because it's not settled at all, and it's very diverse, and at the same time it is moving all the time, so it has a life by its own, and it creates different shapes and strange shapes, and it's really visually fascinating. So if you look at the water or you look at the milk or a puddle of paint or whatever, I think it's really pleasing to see it. And at the same time, we are made of water, and it's something related to human being.
And going back to the 4 ages of women, I'm curious as to how, whether becoming a mother yourself of your 2 children had an impact on your own work, because you know many artists will say that you can't be a mother and an artist at the same time.
Yeah, I think it's motherhood and pregnancy. It's a very highly inspiring experience for me. Witnessing the life of the beginning and the forming of the life of the children is like living again and again and again and understanding the life again and again.
And how do you know when a work is finished?
It just finished, it told me.
It tells you. But you do this very interesting thing, which I'm fascinated by, which is, well, you can see it on here, which you sort of scarify the work. You take a scalpel and you draw this very thin line. It's almost like you damage the work, you mark the work as a sort of final step. How did you start doing that, and why do you do it?
I started doing that, I think a long time ago. I don't remember when, 20 years ago or something like this. But it's very pleasing to scratch your own painting in a way. But at the same time, when you scratch it with this scalpel, it leaves a very thin white line, which is very sharp. You won't be able to do it with a brush. So this contrast between these very thin, sharp lines and the painting itself, it makes me feel that there is a distance between the line itself that I scratched and the painting. So it creates another distance, and I love this kind of illusion in my work also.
But I also get the sense that you're quite distant from your work. Once it's finished, you step away.
I think because it is a moment of my life that passed away, so it's something from the past. So for me, when I finish any painting, I become immediately like you, like anyone here. I become like viewer, and I started to receive it in a new way, and I started to think about it as if it's something really separated from me, and it speaks with me differently, and it makes me ask questions or maybe think about discover something or not.
I was curious about what you think you've taken away from this residency.
Of course, it's very inspiring and a new experience to me, because I've learned a lot about modern slavery, and also I've learned a lot about how educational institutions work.
How important do you think it is that art is instrumental, that it has a purpose as opposed to being something beautiful?
It's not important because it has a purpose or something to add for the society. It is important because I am interested in this aspect. That's it. Because there's many aspects in life I won't be able to express it. So, and at the end, art won't save humanity. Art is kind of reflection and a new discovery.
And as an artist, I mean, what do you feel is the next thing that you would like to achieve with your work? Where are you going with the painting?
Stay fascinated and not lose the curiosity in life and in art. I just want to discover new things in art every day, every day.